The room was dim, with only a single candle flickering in the corner. The walls were covered with old fabrics, and on a wooden table lay bottles filled with strange powders and liquids. The old woman, whose name Tasha never asked, sat on a stool stirring something in a cracked clay pot. The smell was strong, sharp, bitter, almost choking. "What exactly do you want?" the woman asked in a slow, steady voice. Her eyes did not blink often, and when they did, it felt like they could see right into Tasha's thoughts. Tasha swallowed hard. She had practiced what to say, but her mouth felt dry. I I want my best friend gone," she whispered. Maya and Tasha grew up in the same busy part of the city. Their parents lived in neighboring flats, so the two girls were together from the time they could walk. They went to the same nursery, wore matching hairstyles to primary school, and shared almost everything from snacks to secrets. To anyone who saw them, they were more like sisters than friends. Maya was the calm one, with a gentle heart and a smile that made everyone feel welcome. She was not only beautiful, but also kind to people others ignored. Security guards, street sweepers, or the little children selling sweets at the corner. Tasha, on the other hand, was quick-witted. She always knew how to talk her way out of trouble, bargain for cheaper prices, or find shortcuts to get what she wanted. Together, they balanced each other. Maya's warmth softened Tasha's sharpness, and Tasha's cleverness protected Maya's soft heart. As they grew into young women, their bond continued. They shared dreams about living their small apartments one day, traveling the world, and living successful lives. They promised to always support one another, no matter what. But life had different plans. One evening, there was a charity gala in the city. It was one of those events where rich business people came together to raise money for hospitals and schools. Maya was not there as a guest. She was volunteering. She had joined a small group that helped serve food and drinks to the invited guests. That was where she met Mr. Daniels. Mr. Daniels was a well-known billionaire in the city. His name often appeared in the newspapers and on TV whenever there was talk about new hotels, airlines, or real estate projects. He was tall, confident, and carried himself like someone used to power. But despite all his wealth, he noticed something different about Maya. While others tried to get his attention with flashy clothes and loud laughter, Maya was busy carrying plates to children who had been invited from an orphanage. She smiled at them, bent down to tie one little boy's shoelace, and wiped a girl's tears when she spilled her juice. For Mr. Daniels, that simple act of kindness spoke louder than all the expensive dresses in the room. After the event, he asked one of the organizers who the young lady was. When he heard she was just a volunteer from a humble family, he became even more interested. Over the next weeks, he made every effort to know her better. At first, Maya could hardly believe it. How could a man of his status be interested in her? But Mr. Daniels was persistent. He visited her parents respectfully, introduced himself, and made his intentions clear. He wasn't just looking for a casual relationship. He wanted to marry her. The news spread quickly. Neighbors were shocked, and some even jealous. A billionaire marrying a girl from our street. Impossible, they whispered. But it happened. The wedding was like something out of a movie. Expensive cars lined the streets. The media covered the event, and photos of Maya in her wedding gown appeared on TV and online. She was no longer the simple girl from the flats. She was now the wife of one of the richest men in the country. Her parents were overjoyed. Her neighbors clapped, and even strangers talked about how lucky she was. And standing right beside her, clapping the loudest and smiling the widest, was Tasha. But while her hands applauded, Tasha's heart was burning. Every time she looked at the Maya's diamond ring, her mansion in the background, and the way Mr. Daniels looked at her with love, something twisted inside her. Tasha told herself she was happy for Maya, but deep down, she could not stop asking, why her? Why not me? That question was the beginning of everything that followed. At first, Tasha tried to act normal. She liked the pictures people posted from the wedding. She told everyone, Maya deserves it. She went to the mansion a few times and took selfies near the big fountain. She even posted, proud of my best friend. On the outside, she looked happy. On the inside, she was not. Every visit made her feel smaller. She watched drivers open doors for Maya. She saw cooks asking Maya what she wanted for lunch. She saw a walk-in closet full of shoes and dresses with tags still on them. She smiled, but her stomach felt tight. She thought, if I had this life, I would never worry again. Maya did not change. She stayed kind. She still hugged Tasha at the door and said, come more often. This house feels too quiet. She sent food to Tasha's parents sometimes. She asked Tasha about her job search and shared contacts. She even said, if you need a place to stay for a week, you can use the guest room. Maya meant it. She trusted her friend. But jealousy does not listen to kindness. It grows when you feed it. Tasha began to feed it with thoughts. Why her? Why not me? I'm the clever one. I'm the one who always planned our future. She started counting differences. Maya had a ring. She did not. Maya had a car with a driver. She took buses. Maya had staff. She did not. The more she compared, the more bitter she became. One afternoon, Tasha went home after lunch at the mansion. She opened her fridge and saw only a bottle of water and a leftover box of noodles. She sat on the floor of her small room and cried. She wiped her face and looked around. The paint was peeling. The fan made a loud sound. The neighbor's radio was too high. It felt unfair. That evening, she called Maya but did not speak long. She said she was busy. After the call, she scrolled through social media and saw more photos of Maya at another charity event, standing next to Mr. Daniels, both smiling. Many people wrote, couple goals, and God when. Tasha put down her phone. She stared at the ceiling and whispered, this should be my life. Slowly, her mind moved from jealousy to our plan. At first, it was a small thought. If Maya was not around, Mr. Daniels would notice me. Then the thought got stronger. If Maya was out of the picture, I could be the wife. She pushed the thought away, but it kept coming back. It was like a song that would not stop. Tasha remembered a story she heard at a hair salon months ago. A woman had whispered about an old lady who fixes problems for a fee. The old lady lived in a broken building near a bus depot. People said she sold charms, powders, and special things. Some laughed at the story. Others said it was true. At the time, Tasha did not care. Now she cared. The next day, she tested the idea in her head. She told herself, I only want advice. I'm not doing anything bad. But deep down, she knew what she was thinking. She wanted Maya gone. She wanted the seat beside Mr. Daniels. She wanted the ring, the house, and the life. Jealousy made Tasha see problems where there were none. When Maya texted, are you free for coffee? Tasha read it as show-off. When Maya offered to connect her to a job, Tasha called it pity. When Mr. Daniels greeted her warmly and thanked her for being a good friend to his wife, Tasha felt insulted. She told herself she was tired of being just the friend. One night, the city lights glowed through her thin curtains. Cars honked outside. Somewhere, music played. Tasha sat at her small table with a notepad. She wrote 2 columns. On the left, she wrote, "Stay the same." Under it, she wrote, "Small room, bus fare, cheap food, waiting." On the right, she wrote, "Change my life." Under it, she wrote, "Mansion, car, respect, power." She circled the second column again and again until the paper tore a little. Then she picked up her phone and searched for bus routes to the depot. The next morning, she told her parents she had a job interview. That was a lie. She dressed in simple clothes so she would not stand out. She took a bus across town and got off near a row of old shops. She asked 2 vendors, pretending she was looking for a herbal woman for prayer items. One vendor shook his head and said, "I don't know." Another looked at her for a long second and then nodded toward an alley. "End of that path. Third door. Be careful," he said. Tasha walked down the narrow path. The walls were stained. Water dripped from a pipe. She reached the third door. It was metal and rusty. She knocked. No answer. She was about to leave when the door opened a little, and a voice said, "What you want?" Tasha felt fear rise in her chest, but envy pushed it down. She said, "I need help. I want someone removed from my life." The door opened wider. A woman with gray hair and sharp eyes stood there. She wore a faded dress and many bracelets. The room behind her smelled like incense and something bitter. Bottles and bowls sat on a low shelf. The woman looked Tasha up and down and said, "Come in. But know this, help always has a price." Tasha stepped inside. She did not look back. She had already chosen her path. The room was dim, with only a single candle flickering in the corner. The walls were covered with old fabrics, and on a wooden table lay bottles filled with strange powders and liquids. The old woman, whose name Tasha never asked, sat on a stool, stirring something in a cracked clay pot. The smell was strong, sharp, bitter, almost choking. "What exactly do you want?" the woman asked in a slow, steady voice. Her eyes did not blink often, and when they did, it felt like they could see right into Tasha's thoughts. Tasha swallowed hard. She had practiced what to say, but her mouth felt dry. I want my best friend gone," she whispered. "She's married to a billionaire. If she's no longer there, I can take her place." The woman tilted her head. "Gone? Dead?" "No," Tasha said quickly, though the thought had crossed her mind. "Not dead, just out of the way. Something that will make her lose everything." The woman gave a low laugh. "Ah, so you want her to be removed but not buried. You are jealous of her life." Tasha clenched her fists. "I deserve what she has. Everyone says I'm the smart one. But she got the mansion. She got the cars. She got the love. I want it too." The old woman stirred her pot slowly and then reached for a small bottle. It was filled with a dark liquid that almost looked black. She held it up and said, "Give this to her." Just a drop in her drink or food and her mind will break. She will no longer make sense. People will say she has gone mad. A mad woman cannot stay in a mansion. She will be locked away and her husband will need someone sane to stand beside him. Tasha's heart pounded. Mad? Like crazy. "Yes," the woman said simply. "Her life will be ruined. She will laugh when there's nothing funny. She will scream at shadows. She will forget names and act like a child. Doctors will not find a cure because it is not a sickness they can see. And you," the woman leaned closer, "you will step into her shoes." For a moment, Tasha hesitated. A small voice inside her said, "This is too much." But another voice, louder and sharper, reminded her of Maya's diamond ring. the mansion, the respect she received everywhere she went. Envy shouted louder than reason. "What will it cost me?" Tasha asked finally. The woman's crooked smile revealed yellow teeth. "Everything has a price. For now, it will cost you money. But remember, when you play with darkness, it always asks for more later." Tasha pulled out the little savings she had kept in her bag. She handed it over without another word. The woman gave her the bottle. It was small, but heavy in her hand, as if it carried more than liquid. "Use it soon," the woman warned. "Once it is opened, it loses power with time." Tasha nodded and left, her heart racing as she stepped out of the building into the noisy city street. People walked past, taxis honked, children sold snacks on the roadside. But to Tasha, it all felt distant. She clutched the bottle tightly inside her bag, as if it were a key to her future. The chance came just a few days later. Maya called Tasha and said, "Can you come over? I miss you. Let's have lunch together." Tasha agreed quickly, her mind already planning. She arrived at the mansion, smiling sweetly as always. The house staff welcomed her, and Maya hugged her warmly. During lunch, while Maya stepped out to take a call, Tasha reached into her bag. She pulled out a small bottle with shaky hands. Her fingers trembled as she poured a few drops into Maya's glass of juice. The dark liquid disappeared quickly, leaving no trace. Moments later, Maya returned and lifted her glass. "To friendship," she said with her usual gentle smile. Tasha forced a grin. "To friendship," she echoed, watching closely as Maya drank. At first, nothing happened. Tasha's heart raced. Did it fail? Did the woman lie to me? Then Maya's hand shook slightly. She blinked fast and rubbed her temples. "Do you hear that?" she whispered. "Hear what?" Tasha asked, pretending to look concerned. "The voices. The voices in the walls," Maya said suddenly, her tone sharp. She pushed her plate away and stood up. "They're watching me. The lights are laughing at me." She began pacing, muttering nonsense, then burst into loud laughter that echoed through the dining room. The staff rushed in, shocked. Maya screamed at them, calling them strangers, then threw a glass to the floor. Mr. Daniels came running, trying to calm her, but she scratched at him wildly and shouted, "You're not real! You're an imposter!" The mansion was thrown into chaos. The doctor was called. Security tried to help, but nothing worked. By evening, Maya was taken to a mental hospital. Tasha sat quietly in the corner, hiding her smile. The plan had worked. Her best friend, once the queen of the mansion, was now a mad woman locked away. And Tasha's path to the billionaire was wide open. The news of Maya's sudden madness spread quickly across the city. Neighbors whispered, blogs carried the story, and tabloids ran with headlines like "Billionaire's Wife Suffers Sudden Mental Breakdown." Some speculated it was stress. Others said it was spiritual. No one really knew. Inside the mansion, everything changed. Mr. Daniels was devastated. He had married Maya out of true love, and now she was gone. Not dead, but locked away in a mental hospital. He visited her often, sitting beside her hospital bed, holding her hand even when she pulled away or laughed at things no one could see. Doctors gave him different answers. Some said it was a mental illness, others said it was trauma, and some admitted they had no clue. After months of tests, treatments, and sleepless nights, nothing improved. Maya was still lost in a world of confusion. Through it all, Tasha stayed close. She came to the hospital with flowers. She offered to drive Mr. Daniels when he was too tired. She cooked meals at the mansion and claimed it was to help keep the house running. She presented herself as a caring friend, always ready to listen, always by his side. At first, Mr. Daniels appreciated it. He would say, "Thank you, Tasha. I don't know how I would manage without your support." He did not see the small smile that formed on her lips every time. Tasha's plan was slow but steady. She never spoke badly about Maya in public. She only said things like, "It's so hard seeing her like this," or "I wish she could come back to us." But in private, she dropped hints. "Sir, maybe you need someone strong beside you during this hard time. You can't keep running a business empire and also carry this alone." Maya would want you to have peace, wouldn't she? Little by little, her words began to sink in. Months turned into a year. The media stopped talking about Maya, treating her as yesterday's story. Mr. Daniels grew thinner, more tired, but he leaned on Tasha more each day. She became his shadow at charity events, his family friend at dinners, and eventually the one who answered calls when he was too busy. The mansion staff noticed the change. They whispered among themselves, "The madam is in hospital, but this other woman is always here." Some disliked it, but kept quiet. After all, it was Mr. Daniels' house, and they feared losing their jobs. One evening, Mr. Daniels returned from a long board meeting. He sat in the living room, head in his hands. Tasha walked in with a tray of tea. "You need to take care of yourself," she said softly. He sighed. "I've tried everything for Maya. Nothing works. I can't even run my business properly anymore. Sometimes I wonder if she will ever get better." Tasha placed the cup in front of him and touched his shoulder gently. "Maybe it's time to accept the truth. She may never be the same, but you don't have to suffer alone." Her words lingered in the air. Mr. Daniels looked at her, not with love yet, but with desperation. "What choice do I have, Tasha? Do you think I should move on?" Tasha lowered her eyes, pretending to struggle with the answer. "Only you can decide, sir. But everyone needs someone." The seed was planted. Within weeks, Tasha started dressing differently, elegant but modest, like a woman who could fit into high society. She accompanied Mr. Daniels to a business dinner, sitting quietly at his side. Guests whispered, wondering who she was. Mr. Daniels introduced her as a close family friend, helping me through a difficult time. Not long after, rumors began. Newspapers speculated that Mr. Daniels had found comfort in someone else. Some condemned him for moving on too quickly. Others sympathized, saying he had suffered enough. Then came the announcement. In a quiet private ceremony, Mr. Daniels married Tasha. When the news broke, it shocked many. How could he marry his wife's best friend? People asked. Maya's parents were heartbroken. To them, it was betrayal stacked on tragedy. They cried, but there was little they could do. Their daughter was still locked in a hospital, unaware of what was happening. Tasha, now Mrs. Daniels, moved into the mansion officially. She wore expensive jewelry, sat at the head of the dining table, and gave orders to the staff with a cold, sharp tone. She had what she wanted: the ring, the mansion, the status. But even in her victory, she felt insecure. When she walked through the halls, she sometimes thought she heard Maya's laughter echoing. When Mr. Daniels stared out the window in silence, she wondered if he was thinking of his first wife. Jealousy had gotten her the crown, but it did not give her peace. For now, though, Tasha silenced those thoughts. She had won. Maya was forgotten in a hospital bed, and she was the new wife of the billionaire. At least that was what she believed. Tasha woke up each day feeling powerful. She liked the soft carpet under her feet, the big mirrors, and the way people called her Madam. She ate breakfast at a long table and rang a small bell. when she wanted something. At first, she pretended to be sweet to the staff, but soon her true nature showed. She complained about tiny things. If the tea was too warm, she shouted. If the flowers were not fresh enough, she sent the gardener away for the day without pay. She changed the menu without telling the chef and then blamed him when the food did not taste right. The staff began to fear her footsteps in the hallway. Mr. Daniels tried to keep peace. He said, "Tasha, please be patient with them." She smiled in front of him and said, "Of course." But when he left for meeting, she snapped her fingers and ordered people around like soldiers. Tasha also changed rules at the mansion. She made a list of people who were allowed to visit. She removed many names. She added new rules like no phone calls to Mr. Daniels without going through me. She told the security guards, no surprise visitors. No one comes in without my approval. She wanted full control. One afternoon, Maya's mother called the mansion. She asked to speak to Mr. Daniels. The house manager said, "Madam, I will pass your message." But Tasha took the phone and said in a flat voice, "He is not available." Maya's mother begged, "Please, we only want to know how our daughter is." Tasha ended the call and blocked the number. She told the staff, "No calls from that family. If they come to the gate, send them away gently. Say, the madam is resting." Tasha also visited the hospital less and less. In the first months after the wedding, she went with Mr. Daniels once or twice to show she cared. But when Maya held Mr. Daniels' hand and looked at him with lost eyes, Tasha felt a sting in her chest. She did not like it. She told herself, "I am the wife now. The past must stay in the past." So Tasha arranged something with the hospital. She spoke to the head nurse in a small office. "Please move Maya to a private ward," she said. "Fewer visitors. She needs quiet." The nurse replied, "We already limit visitors, madam." Tasha slid an envelope across the table. "Less noise, less movement. Only the husband and one doctor should see her." The nurse hesitated, then nodded. The next week, new rules appeared on the door of Maya's room. No visitors except immediate family. But even then, the desk clerk found ways to delay or misplace messages from Maya's parents. Mr. Daniels did not know the full truth. He worked long hours to keep his companies running. He told himself he was doing what Maya would want, keeping the business strong so she could return to a secure home. At night, he sat alone at his study desk, looking at old photos of their wedding. Sometimes tears filled his eyes. Tasha would walk in softly and say, "You need rest. Come to bed." He followed her because he was tired, not because he was healed. Inside the mansion, some staff felt angry about the new madam. A driver whispered to a guard, "The first madam greeted us by name. This one only shouts." The chef said, "She changes everything and then blames us." But they kept their voices low. They needed their jobs. Tasha began to enjoy public attention. She wore fancy dresses and sat in front rows at charity events. She smiled for photographers and spoke about mental health awareness, even though she did little for Maya. People in the city were not sure what to think. Some said she stepped up when tragedy struck. Others said it is too soon. Tasha did not care. She liked the cameras and the gifts. At the same time, small cracks began to show. Mr. Daniel sometimes pulled away when she tried to hold his hand in public. He did not shout at her, but his eyes looked tired and far away. He missed Maya's gentle laugh. He missed her simple words like, "How was your day?" Tasha noticed this and pushed harder to control everything around him. She took charge of his schedule. She answered calls from his friends. She told the accountant, "Send all reports to me first." At the hospital, Maya's days were a blur. Sometimes she sat still and stared at the window. Sometimes she laughed for no reason. Other times she cried quietly and said, "Someone took my life." Nurses came and went. Doctors changed medicines. Nothing truly helped. But the hospital was not silent. Many groups visited different wards: students, singers, and church people. And one day soon, a pastor and his wife would walk into that building with simple clothes, warm smiles, and faith that could move mountains. They did not know it yet. Tasha did not know it either. But change was already on the way. The city hospital was always busy. Ambulances arrived with sirens. Relatives rushed in with worried faces. Nurses hurried up and down the hallways. In the middle of all this noise, there was one quiet ward: the psychiatric wing. People did not like to talk about it. Some were ashamed to visit. But on one Saturday morning, that wing received visitors who were not ashamed at all. Pastor Samuel and his wife, Grace, were simple people. They lived in a tiny rented apartment above a shop. They did not own a car. They walked or took buses everywhere. They had been praying for years for God to expand their ministry. Every Saturday, they went to different hospitals to pray for patients. It was their way of giving hope. That morning, they entered the psychiatric ward carrying a bag with a Bible, a few song sheets, and small packs of fruit to share. The nurse at the front desk smiled weakly. "Most people don't come here," she said. "They are afraid." Grace answered softly, "Jesus went where people were forgotten. That is why we are here." They started in the first room, praying with an old man who had lost his memory. Then they sang quietly with a young boy who spoke to imaginary friends. After a few minutes, they moved on. When they reached room 7, the door was half open. Inside sat a young woman with long, messy hair, staring blankly at the wall. She rocked back and forth and whispered things no one else understood. Sometimes she laughed suddenly, then cried. Pastor Samuel knocked gently. "Good morning. Can we come in?" The nurse outside shrugged. "She won't notice you. She's been like this for more than a year. Some say she was once the wife of a very rich man, but her mind is gone." Grace stepped in anyway. She set the fruit on the table and sat down. "Hello, my sister. My name is Grace. What is yours?" The woman turned slowly. Her eyes were empty at first, then sharp for a second, as if a memory flashed. She whispered, "They stole my life." Then she laughed loudly, clutching her head. Grace's heart raced. She looked at her husband. Pastor Samuel took a step forward and began to pray quietly. "Lord, bring light where there is darkness. Bring peace where there is confusion." As he prayed, Maya, the woman, suddenly shouted, "Tasha, stop it! Don't take him!" Her voice was raw with pain. Then she laughed again and started humming a tune from nowhere. Grace's eyes widened. This was not ordinary madness. Something deeper was wrong. Pastor Samuel felt a chill in his spirit. He knelt beside the bed and prayed again, this time stronger. "In the name of Jesus, reveal the truth." For a brief moment, Maya's eyes cleared. She grabbed Grace's hand and whispered, "I was cursed. It was not sickness." Then she shook violently, pulled away, and started muttering nonsense again. Grace gasped. "She spoke clearly." The nurse looked surprised. "That's the first time she has said anything that makes sense." Pastor Samuel stood still, breathing deeply. He knew what had just happened was not natural. He looked at his wife and said quietly, "This is not just mental illness. This is bondage." Grace nodded, tears filling her eyes. "Then we must help her." They spent more time with Maya, singing softly and reading scripture. Each time they prayed, she would calm down for a few minutes, then slip back into confusion. But the short moments of clarity convinced them this was spiritual. When they left the ward, they sat on a bench outside the hospital. Cars passed by, and patients' families walked around them. But neither Samuel nor Grace spoke for a long while. Finally, Grace broke the silence. If what we saw is true, then she's under a curse. We cannot keep quiet. Pastor Samuel looked at her firmly. We need to find her family. God showed us this for a reason. We were sent to this hospital today, not by chance, but on assignment. That night, they prayed earnestly in the little apartment. They fasted the next day. Samuel felt God confirming, go and search for her parents. The battle is not with medicine, it is with prayer and fasting. Grace agreed. But where do we start? She's not an ordinary woman. The nurse said she once belonged to a rich household. If this is true, her story is known somewhere. The next week, Samuel visited the hospital again and asked more questions. One orderly whispered, her name is Maya Daniels. Her husband is the famous Mr. Daniels, the billionaire. Samuel's jaw dropped. Grace's eyes widened. A billionaire's wife? And she has been left here like this? The orderly shrugged. They bring money for her bills, but no one stays long. Sometimes a woman comes with the husband, but she doesn't seem to care. Everyone says the case is hopeless. Samuel and Grace walked out slowly. Hopeless for man, Samuel said, but not for God. That evening, they prayed again, this time for guidance to find Maya's parents. They knew the real battle was about to begin. Pastor Samuel and Grace could not sleep after what they had seen at the hospital. Maya's voice still echoed in their minds. I was cursed. It was not sickness. They knew God had shown them a hidden truth. The next morning, Samuel prayed, Lord, lead us to her parents. They must know the truth. Together, we can fight this battle. He agreed, holding his hands. They decided to fast for 3 days, asking for direction. On the second day of the fast, Samuel received a call from a fellow pastor. There is a family in the city who has been asking for prayer. Their daughter has been in a hospital for a long time. They are tired and hopeless. Can you meet them? Samuel's heart leaped. What is their name? The pastor replied, Mr. and Mrs. Noko. They live near Central Market. Grace gasped. That must be them. That's Maya's parents. The couple wasted no time. That evening, they went to the Noko's small home. It was a humble 2-bedroom flat, nothing like the luxury mansion Maya once lived in. The walls were worn, and the sitting room had only old furniture. Maya's parents looked older than their years. Grief had left its mark. Good evening, sir, madam, Samuel greeted warmly. We are Pastor Samuel and my wife Grace. We have been praying for the sick at the hospital, and we met your daughter. At the mention of Maya, Mrs. Noko's eyes filled with tears. How is she? She asked quickly. We hardly get to see her. They make it hard for us to visit. Grace sat beside her gently. She is alive, and she spoke. Not much, but enough to show she is still there. Mr. Noko leaned forward. Spoke? What do you mean? The doctor said her case is hopeless. Samuel took a deep breath. Sir, your daughter is not just sick. She is under a curse. We prayed with her, and she said, I was cursed. This is not madness alone. It is spiritual. The room went silent. The parents stared in shock. Then Mrs. Noko whispered, We knew it. We always suspected something. Maya was fine until she married that man. Then her friend, Tasha, was always around. And soon after, Maya lost her mind. She shook her head in pain. We said it was strange, but no one believed us. Grace held her hand. You were right, Mama, and God has revealed it to us so that together we can fight for her. Mr. Nuko wiped his eyes. What do we do? Samuel spoke firmly. Prayer and fasting. That is the only way. Not doctors, not medicine, only the power of God. They all agreed to begin immediately. For 7 days, the Nwokos, Pastor Samuel, and Grace prayed and fasted together. They met every evening in the family's small living room. Sometimes neighbors wondered why they were singing so loudly, but no one stopped them. During the prayers, Maya's name was called again and again. They prayed against envy, against curses, against every dark power that had been used against her. Grace often wept as she prayed, saying, Lord, restore her mind, give her back her life. On the 5th night, something powerful happened. As they prayed, Grace suddenly cried out, She is being freed right now. I see chains breaking in the spirit. That same hour, in the hospital, Maya woke up calmer than before. She asked the nurse for water in a clear voice. The nurse almost dropped the cup in shock. You spoke properly, she exclaimed. By the 7th day, Maya was sitting upright, talking slowly but clearly. The doctors were confused. They said, This is impossible. Patients like her do not just recover suddenly. But Samuel and Grace knew it was not impossible. It was God. Maya's parents rushed to the hospital with them. When Maya saw her mother, tears rolled down her face. Mama, she whispered, they stole everything from me. Her mother hugged her tightly, crying uncontrollably. It's okay, my child. You're coming back to us. Her father turned to Samuel and Grace. We owe you our lives. What do we do next? Samuel's voice was serious. Now comes the hard part. We must get her back to her husband and expose the truth. But the enemy will not let us easily. We must be prepared. And he was right, because while Maya was being restored, Tasha was tightening her grip on the mansion. She had already told the guards and staff, if anyone tries to bring news about Maya, stop them at the gate. The battle was not over. It had only just begun. When Maya's mind cleared, her parents thought everything would change quickly. They believed Mr. Daniels would run to the hospital once he heard the news. They imagined him weeping with joy, taking her back home and punishing Tasha for her wickedness. But reality was different. The very next day, Pastor Samuel, Grace, and the Nwokos went to the mansion. Maya was not strong enough to go with them yet, but they carried the good news. At the gate, they spoke to the security guards. We are here to see Mr. Daniels. Tell him it is about his wife, Maya, Samuel said firmly. The guards exchanged uneasy looks. One of them went inside, then returned to shaking his head. Sorry, Madam, sir. You cannot enter. Orders from Madam Tasha. She said no one with the name Nwoko should step in here. Mrs. Nwoko's heart sank. But we are her parents, she cried. Our daughter is alive and healed. Please let us through. The guard looked uncomfortable, but stood his ground. I'm sorry. If we let you in, we will lose our jobs. Please leave before trouble comes. They left the gate discouraged, but Samuel lifted his hand. Do not lose hope. We will try again. 2 days later, they tried again. This time, they carried a written letter signed by Maya herself. Her handwriting was shaky but clear. My mind is back. I need to see you. At the gate, they begged the guards to deliver the letter. One of the guards agreed and carried it inside. Minutes later, he returned empty-handed. His face looked pale. What happened? Grace asked. The guard lowered his voice. I gave it to Madam Tasha. She tore it to pieces before I could even explain. She warned us, if anyone brings messages about Maya, We will be fired. Tears filled Maya's mother's eyes. So she is blocking even our letters. What kind of wickedness is this? Samuel clenched his fist but spoke calmly. This is exactly what we expected. The devil fights hardest when he knows he is about to lose. On their third attempt, they managed to get as far as the main reception area of one of Mr. Daniel's companies. They hoped to meet him after a board meeting. But once again, Tasha appeared, dressed in a sleek gown and high heels, carrying herself like the owner of the empire. She spotted them instantly. Her smile was cold. "What are you people doing here? Haven't I warned you?" Mr. Noko stepped forward, his voice trembling but strong. "We're only here to see our son-in-law. Maya is healed. She is no longer mad. Let him see her." Tasha's expression hardened. "Do you think you can fool him with stories? He has moved on. I am his wife now. Maya is finished. If you keep pushing, I will have the police charge you for harassment." Her words cut like knives. Guards stepped closer, waiting for her signal. Grace's eyes filled with tears, but she whispered to her husband, "We will not fight her with anger. God will make a way." Tasha raised her chin proudly. "Now get out before I change my mind." They were escorted out once again. Back at their home, the Nokos cried bitterly. "How can we reach him when she blocks us every time?" Maya's father asked, frustrated. Pastor Samuel sat quietly, then said, "Remember, God showed us the curse so we could break it. He will also open a door to restore her marriage. The devil is only delaying, not winning." Grace added softly, "It may take more than one attempt, but the Bible says, 'The fervent prayers of the righteous availeth much.' We will not stop." Together they knelt and prayed again. They asked for divine intervention, for God to send someone, a staff member, a business partner, or anyone Mr. Daniels trusted, to help deliver the truth. Meanwhile, in the mansion, Tasha grew restless. Even though she blocked Maya's parents, she felt uneasy. Sometimes she thought she saw shadows in the hallways. At night, she dreamed of Maya standing at the gate, looking at her silently. She would wake up sweating, clutching the sheets. One morning, she told herself, "Even if Maya is alive, Daniels will never see her. I will make sure of that." She doubled the guards at the mansion gate and warned the staff again. "If anyone sneaks information to him, I will destroy them." But what Tasha didn't know was that not everyone in the mansion was loyal to her. One of the senior staff, an old driver who had worked for the family for years, still loved Maya dearly. He had watched her kindness to everyone, from staff to strangers. His heart burned with anger every time Tasha insulted him or treated him like trash. When he overheard a guard whisper that Maya was healed and living with her parents, he could not keep quiet. He told himself, "Mr. Daniels must know the truth. He deserves to hear it from someone he trusts." And so, quietly, without Tasha's knowledge, he began planning a secret meeting. The battle was not over. But finally, after 3 failed attempts, hope was on the horizon. Because one faithful servant was about to risk everything to reunite Mr. Daniels with his true wife. The loyal driver's name was Mr. Okoro. He had worked for the Daniels family for more than 15 years, long before Maya ever entered the mansion. To him, Maya was not just the madam. She had once stood in the kitchen to chat with the cooks, asked about his children by name, and even slipped money into his hand when she heard his wife was sick. He had never forgotten her kindness. Since Tasha took over, the mansion felt cold. She barked orders, insulted workers, and treated staff like slaves. Mr. Okoro endured it in silence, but inside his heart he said, "This woman does not deserve this house." Maya was the true wife. If she is alive and healed, the master must know. That evening, after finishing his driving duties, he quietly slipped out and went to find Maya's parents. He had heard whispers among the guards about them being turned away at the gate. He tracked their address and knocked softly on the wooden door of their flat. Mr. Noko opened the door, surprised. "Yes, can I help you?" Okoro lowered his voice. "Please, sir, don't be alarmed. I am one of the senior staff at the mansion. My name is Okoro. I know you have been blocked, but I believe your daughter deserves her husband to know the truth. Can I see her?" Tears welled in Mrs. Noko's eyes as she pulled him inside. Come, she is here." Maya sat on a chair, weak but clear-eyed. When she saw Okoro, her lips trembled. "Uncle Okoro," she whispered. Okoro's heart broke. "Yes, madam, it is me. Praise God, you are well again." He knelt before her. "Don't worry, I will help you see the master. He must know you are alive in mind." The family prayed together, thanking God for sending them an ally. Pastor Samuel said, "This is the hand of God. But we must be careful. Tasha will not give up easily." The next week, Okoro drove Mr. Daniels to a business meeting. On the way back, he spoke carefully. "Sir," he began, "do you ever think of Madam Maya?" Mr. Daniels sighed deeply. "Every day, Okoro, every single day. But she's gone. She will never be the same again. The doctor said so." Okoro kept his eyes on the road. "Sir, what if they are wrong? What if she is better now?" Mr. Daniels turned sharply. "What do you mean?" "Sir, forgive me for speaking," Okoro said, "but I have seen her. She is healed. Her parents and some pastors prayed for her. She speaks clearly now. She remembers everything." The car fell silent. Daniels clenched his fists. "Okoro, if this is a joke, I will never forgive you." "It is not a joke, sir. Please, allow me to take you to her quietly. Just once. You will see for yourself." That night, Mr. Daniels could not sleep. Tasha was beside him, scrolling through her phone, but his mind was far away. What if Maya really is better? What if I abandoned her when she needed me most? The next morning, he told Okoro, "Take me there. Don't tell anyone." Okoro drove him in a plain car, not the usual convoy. They reached the Nwoko's small flat. Mr. Daniel's heart pounded as he climbed the stairs. When the door opened, he froze. Maya stood there, thin but graceful, her eyes full of tears. "Daniel," she whispered. He staggered forward, hardly believing it. "Maya, my Maya." She nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. "They stole me from you. They made me mad, but God has restored me." Mr. Daniels pulled her into his arms and broke down, sobbing. For the first time in over a year, he felt whole again. Behind them, Pastor Samuel and Grace quietly praised God. Mrs. Nwoko wept uncontrollably, whispering, "Thank you, Lord. Thank you." When the tears calmed, Mr. Daniels asked, "Tell me everything. How did this happen?" Pastor Samuel explained the mission visit, the prayers, the revelation of the curse, and the fasting that broke it. Maya's parents added their testimony. At first, Daniel shook his head in disbelief. "I thought it was sickness, but it was wickedness all along. And Tasha," his voice hardened, "she was behind it. I see it now." Grace spoke gently. "Sir, the truth is clear, but be wise. Tasha will resist. This is not only a family matter. It is spiritual and public. You must act carefully." Daniels nodded. "You are right. We will expose her. But first, I will take my wife back." The plan was made. Daniels would return to the mansion quietly with Maya, supported by her parents and the pastor. Okoro would help them enter without alerting Tasha. But word traveled faster than they expected. By the time they reached the mansion gates, Tasha was already waiting, her face twisted with shock and anger. "Maya!" she screamed. "You dare bring this woman here? She is finished. She is nothing." But for the first time, Mr. Daniels did not flinch. He held Maya's hand firmly. "No, Tasha, the lies are finished. Today, the truth comes out." The gates of the Daniels mansion were tense that morning. Staff whispered among themselves as they saw Mr. Daniels walk in hand with Maya. Some rubbed their eyes in disbelief. Others dropped what they were holding and stared. They had thought Maya was lost forever. And now she stood tall, her eyes clear, her voice steady. Tasha stormed out of the front door, her heels clicking angrily on the marble floor. "What is the meaning of this?" she shouted. "Daniel, you cannot bring this woman here. She is mad. She will destroy everything." But this time, Mr. Daniels did not bend to her voice. He turned to the staff and declared loudly, "This is my true wife, Maya. She was never mad. She was cursed, and the truth has come out." Gasps filled the courtyard. The workers who had loved Maya began to whisper, "We knew something was wrong. Madam Maya is back." Some clapped their hands quietly. Tasha's face twisted. "Daniel, don't believe them. They are tricking you. She is still sick. Look at her." Maya stepped forward. Her voice was calm but firm. "Tasha, your lies are over. You destroyed my life with your jealousy, but God has restored me." For the first time, Tasha's confidence shook. She looked around but saw no support. The staff who once obeyed her out of fear now stood with Maya. Even the guards at the gate lowered their heads in shame. Mr. Daniels spoke firmly. "From today, you are no longer welcome in this house. Your wickedness is finished. Every contract you influenced, every decision you forced ends now." Tasha screamed in rage. "You will regret this. You all will." She tried to run inside, but the guards blocked her. Humiliated, she fled through the gate, vowing revenge. That night, her heart burning with fury, Tasha returned to the only place she thought could save her. The old herbal woman's hut at the edge of the sea. The woman looked up from her fire, eyes narrowing. "You again? I warned you. Jealousy destroys." "I don't care," Tasha shouted, tossing coins on the mat. "Give me something stronger, something to bring Maya down forever." The herbal woman shook her head. "You are playing with powers you cannot control." "Do it!" Tasha screamed, stamping her feet. "I will not be defeated." Reluctantly, the woman handed her a pouch of herbs. "Burn this and call her name, but beware, what you send may return to you." Tasha snatched it and stormed off. In her room, she lit the herbs, chanting Maya's name with venom. Smoke filled the air, but suddenly it turned black, swirling violently. A strange wind rose, knocking over her lamp. She gasped as shadows seemed to crawl up her skin. "No, no, this is not for me," she cried. But it was too late. The curse she tried to send rebounded. Her eyes rolled back, and she fell to the ground, laughing and crying at once. By morning, the once proud Tasha wandered the streets barefoot, muttering nonsense, her hair wild, her mind gone. Inside the mansion, relief filled the air. Staff hugged Maya and praised God. Tears ran down her cheeks as she whispered, "Thank you, Lord." That evening, Mr. Daniels gathered Maya, her parents, Pastor Samuel, and Grace in the main hall. His voice was heavy with regret. "I failed you all," he said. "I let her lies blind me. I let Maya suffer while I trusted the wrong person. But I will make it right." He turned to Pastor Samuel and Grace. "You risked everything to fight for her, even when you had nothing to gain. What do you want most in this life? Tell me." Grace hesitated, then spoke softly. We have prayed for years for a place of worship. We rent a small hall, but it is never enough. Mr. Daniel smiled. Then you shall have it. From today, I will build a church for your ministry. Tears flowed freely. Samuel whispered, through you, God has answered. Weeks later, Maya stood in the new church building, giving her testimony before a full congregation. They said I was mad. They said I was finished. But God lifted me up. When friends turned against me, God raised strangers to fight for me. Today I stand as proof that no curse is stronger than prayer. The congregation clapped and wept. Pastor Samuel lifted his hands. This story is a testimony to all of us. Envy destroys, but faith restores. Maya's parents, seated at the front, held each other's hands tightly, tears of joy on their cheeks. And far away in the dusty streets, Tasha wandered aimlessly, her voice broken, her mind lost forever. Thus, the story ended with justice and restoration. Evil punished, faith rewarded, and love restored. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you never miss out on our latest tales. Thank you for watching and be blessed.